we're delving into the world of fashion. And I can't think of anyone better to have this epic conversation than with one of the people you would say is the connoisseur of the art in itself, especially within Nigeria, Atafo. I would say you're one of the OGs of Fashion Week, Arise Fashion Week.
If you say so.
If I say, no, talk to me about that, because, you know, so I had a conversation with a person, they're like, oh, Atafo, he's always at Arise Fashion Week. How come Atafo is always showing? Today, one of the things I really wanted us to talk about was the startup, like how this whole thing started. In 2022, you celebrated 12 years. I mean, who would even know that it's been that long already?
Actually,
Tell me about how the entire brand came about.
It's not one of those typical fashion stories because, you know, I had a proper 9 to 5. I worked in corporate Nigeria. I worked for a multinational. I actually worked for 2 multinationals. And whilst I was working for Diageo, my last company, I started fashion at the same time. So 3 years into doing it while working, I decided to take the leap, which is in 2010, to do this full time. So it just started off for me. The real thing was me making waistcoats for a friend's wedding, believe it or not. Yeah, I made waistcoats with Ashoke, and it was nice. I did it for 5 weddings, and someone offered to pay me for the service, and I thought, you'll pay?
This could actually be a business.
Yeah, because it was just my contribution to my friends' weddings. And that was it. And someone offered to pay, and it literally started from there. So from one thing. So all the story of having an aesthetic, know what you're good in, it wasn't all that. All that came as we journeyed
and
into
you know,
the brand.
That just takes me to my next question, which is, when it comes to art, like acting, you need to have some level of talent to do that. When it comes to music, you need to know how to sing. But I think with fashion, it's different. You don't always need to know how to fashion or style, but you might find yourself in that. As an art, how would you interpret that? Because are there bad fashion designers when you think of it from that perspective? That not everyone might know this, but everyone has their own interpretation of it.
I think it's true to the extent that when you start, it feels like you don't need anything. But as you go on, you need a lot of stuff.
Okay.
And as long as you have a DNA, you have your own opinion and your own point of view. So your fashion is your point of view. That's why you can't call anyone a bad designer, because someone would like.
Yeah, that's
Do you get
true.
What I mean?
That's actually
really true. You like this person more, and that less doesn't mean this person is bad. And like even your favorite designer going to the store, you wouldn't take every single thing. Some things you wouldn't like. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. That's why you shop from different people, because there are different things. Yeah. So at the end of the day, when you start, it feels like you would have an opinion. Your opinion may not be great, may not be well, you know, manicured or anything. But as time goes on, you start defining how you feel, how you want to challenge yourself, and that's what leads into what the brand now is and what the brand stands for. That's why I believe, that's my journey, and that's why I believe it happens for people. But right now, if you tell me you want to go into fashion, I'll go, I go to fashion school. Understand what you target audience. I will tell you over, because the market is now, you know, more competitive. You can't just come in like I did 13 years ago. You will make a difference.
Now, this even takes me to the conversation about fashion and style. Now, I have a style. I know, I would say I'm not one to follow fashion trends, but I know what I like to wear. And if a trend happens to fall in the equation of what my style is, 1000% I'll jump on it, but this is my style. As fashion designers, do you have a particular style, or do you feed into the style of your target audience?
That's very interesting. I think it depends on the kind of fashion designers you talk to. In Nigeria, we have more fashion designers from a tailoring perspective. So they follow whatever trend it is.
Okay.
So people that make things for parties, like they call them celebration garments.
Yes.
If bidding is happening, that everyone is bidding and doing illusion and doing corsetry. If that changes to something else, or boo-boos are not happening, so people are doing now boo-boos. And that's what it is. If it changes to a miniskirt, they will move. So those designers do that, but designers that have their aesthetic. And this is what I do. I'm a suit maker. Okay? And my women's wear is very androgynous. I can make it a bit more feminine if I throw in more skirts and dresses, but you can tell that the core of the brand is more sartorial and craftsmanship than anything else. You know, so that's me. So I wouldn't change that to start making fully beaded dresses.
Yes,
you know,
I
because
get
that doesn't work.
What if someone came to you and said, "Oh, I want you to give me a Valdrin Sahiti kind of dress?
I'll tell you no. Because I don't have the facilities to do that. And right now, I think it also happens when you've actually spent some time in the industry. You can actually say no to some things.
Yes.
When I was younger,
you'd have probably said yes.
I would say yes, and I'll try to do it. But now I want peace of mind. I don't want it to be a case of what I ordered versus what I got.
Yes.
And then over time, I've actually honed my skills in certain areas, and I'm more comfortable doing that. So I'll tell you, so if you bring a whole new design from nowhere and say, do this in Twig, I'm like, can we do a test first? And you pay for the test. And if it works out, then I profit it. But if you don't do the test, I can assure you that the order will be guaranteed, because I've never done it before. I'm not trying to be a superhero and go like, oh yeah, we can do that. If I've never done it before, I've never done it before, and I'm not going to do it. But that has come with years of experience and literally wanting peace of mind.
When you say peace of mind, some people will say, see, will you pay? If you pay, I'll do it. And
I can swear to many fashion designers watching this thing now, how many times have you said, will you pay, and you do it, and how many times that got you into trouble? That's what gets us into trouble. When you try to do it in the shortest possible time, when the person is begging you, and when you get it wrong, the customer turns into this, you know, how the hell did you? I'm like, but you were begging yesterday, and I made a mistake today. Now it's my fault. You know? So these days, it looks like you're a meal. Oh, please, please, please. I'm like, no, I can't do it. No, please, please. I'm like, no, because I probably will get it wrong because I'm compressing. People still believe that fashion designing is getting the cloth, running through the machine, and voila, it's ready. There you go. You know? And we don't make it any better. Some designers go like, oh, I didn't take the measurement. I just looked at the person's picture. Yeah. No fitting required. And
24-hour delivery.
You know, that's what I mean. And that's not the backstory. Tell people the backstory. You know, I've gotten to the point whereby I would not do that. I mean, if you're paying me to suffer and do it, oh yes. If you're paying me triple or nothing, of course, then I would stay awake, get the troops together. But if you're not paying me to do that, I can't get the guy to come from home and put on the generator and burn the midnight oil, and you're paying me the same thing. It's worse when you're now a friend and I'm doing all that and you're not paying the same amount of money as a customer. So it's like, no, I don't even want friends to be my customers. I want customers to be my customers.
Let's talk about that. I find that a lot of the people who've made clothes for me in the past. Meanwhile, I am such a last-minute customer. I feel like
you're one of those people that put us in trouble.
I am. Yeah. And it's ironic what you said about being upset, because when my dress is not done well, I become Godzilla. Yeah. Because it's like, what am I going to do now?
You're demanding the same standards.
Exactly, with a shorter time. So that actually makes a lot of sense. But now let's talk about that thing about friendship and fashion. And I'm talking about this from the price perspective. Now, make me understand this. You've been in this for 13 years in 2023. Yeah. You have your price list. There's people that's done this. You've done your trainings. We've seen my Atafo on the runways. We've seen you outside the country. We've seen people you have styled. But then there's also the case where we haven't seen much from designer A or B. But then designer A and B is telling us, how can you tell me my outfit is too expensive? Have you heard how much my Atafo charges?
Yeah.
So how do we balance these things? Because then you start feeling like a bad person because I said you're expensive. And then meanwhile, I've worn my Atafo before. But I will not wear your own outfit at that price. How do you find a healthy balance with this?
But at the end of the day, I think is your choice. Because when I was younger, I would say the same thing. I'll look at the garment and go like, why are you paying that much? I can make it. But the truth about it is that when I try to make it, I realize that I can't make it. So people take short coats and look at things, and a lot of people do not understand. So I'm wearing this jacket right now.
Yeah.
It's just so anyone can make it. But now, if I tell you that the shoulders on this jacket is Neapolitan, that's why it has the little pleats in it.
Yes.
It's intentional, and that's not easy to do. The buttonhole is Mona Lisa. Right? It's done by hand, okay? And you can't do that. But all you have seen is a jacket.
And I'll say, I want that jacket my Atafo wore on Rise 360.
Make it even more, it's like me showing off. The lining is personalized.
Oh my goodness.
Do you get what I mean?
That is
But
so
all of
beautiful.
a sudden, it's just a jacket to you. Do you get what I mean? So there's some things that go into this craft that is not bling. And that's what you're paying for.
Yeah.
From someone like me. So at the end of the day, I mean, the younger designer would understand that, you know, maybe you're not there yet. I mean, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
Like, I know people that are not up to the status of my brand and charge more than my brand. But I won't increase my brand because someone is charging more who's not up to the level. When I feel like I'm offering the customer more than I was offering yesterday, and the dollar is slapping our face, then I increase my price in line with that. But we get that. Everything is subjective in fashion to a very large extent.
I think so.
So me saying you're paying Atafo this and you're not paying me this is subjective.
Yeah.
Because you're not Atafo.
One.
And you may brag and say, oh, we are bigger than the brand Atafo. But what's the yardstick to measure? Who's the biggest designer in the world? I don't know.
Exactly. I think it also boils down to preferences, because some other people might like this and you might, like you rightly said earlier. Now let's bring things back home to Lagos.
Yes.
We have a lot of designers, we have a lot of styles and shows. Looking at all we've seen so far, how would you describe the Lagos fashion scene? When you look at it in its entirety, most recently there was a little Lagos-Paris collaboration. We've seen a lot of our designers heading to New York Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week. Everyone is doing their own thing. How would you describe what we have here? Because I believe that Lagos is definitely the epicenter of the fashion hub in Nigeria.
In Africa.
In Africa, exactly. In Africa, actually. Yeah.
I think that we have a lot of talent. And I think we're more creative than a lot of fashion designers globally.
Wow.
No cap. Now, the problem is that we're not commercializing that.
Okay.
So a lot of designers showcase in New York and showcase in Paris. And once the show is done, what happens?
What happens?
You're back in Lagos. You're not selling those garments.
You're
not reproducing those things to put in stores overseas. Buyers are not buying them for you. So you're doing the media run. So now you know me. Now I know you what's next. Now, it's nice to do the now you know me, so you have a follow-up over time, but building brand equity and actually selling garments. And there's some people that you have no clue who they are, and they're selling Ankara on international platforms and making tons of money. And nobody knows who they are. They don't even call themselves designers. There's a Nigerian brand in South Fifth Avenue called Busayo that I do not know, selling Ankara for $500, $1,000, yeah. I don't know who that is. So it's like, as a fashion designer, sometimes the buzz gets you. The buzz did get me. It still gets me sometimes. And you do a lot for the buzz, and you come back and you're wondering, what am I supposed to sell? Because your pricing isn't right. Your clothes isn't well finished. Because in Nigeria, no matter how badly your clothes are made, one celebrity will wear it. Yeah. 2, 3, 4 we wear because they're getting it cheap, at no cost. So someone is going to wear crap and put it on the red carpet or somewhere, and people are going to celebrate that thing. Then when you get the big break to go international, you realize that your standards doesn't even cut it.
That's the problem. And
that's not going to be a major problem. I've heard designers go like, oh, that's what you need to enjoy with a brand like ours. Everything is made by hand, so there's no consistency. No, but it's quality. There's a standard. So I always say, and internationally, they feed off us for inspiration and also for media. The next best thing is in Africa, so bring them so it looks like we're doing something good. Push them to the front so we can tell their story, blah, 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 blah. But when it comes to the cost of it, will you give us the fashion funds? Do you want us to actually have a shop in New York? Do you want to have a shop in Savvy Row? You do not want that to happen because we'll be taking money from your economy. So we have to do it ourselves, and it's not cheap trying to do it yourself.
I agree.
It is expensive trying to do it.
What makes it expensive?
It's the cost of everything, the cost of production. At a point in time, if you want to play properly internationally scene, you can hardly produce in Nigeria. So the standard in which it is globally accepted. And I think it boils down to that, the standard, right? Yeah, so it's going to be very difficult to use. And in fashion, there's technology in fashion and the advances. Right? Your guys can use laser cutting machines. And why? There are even machines to do things. You don't know what machine is meant to use to do this because the guy is still sewing with an industrial machine he's doing for the last 10 years and things have advanced past that point. So they're little machines to do little things. I want to do a pleated skirt in Lagos and I can't find a machine to do a pleated skirt in Lagos. So when I'm done, it goes flat the next day. So it's like there are many things that needs to be done that we do not even have what it takes to do it here. A factory here, first of all, the power
I was going to say that. Do we even have the infrastructure to handle
we don't have the infrastructure.
That level of
the expertise
production?
of the people that will actually operate the machine. And even the cost of the machine. I keep talking about a machine I bought almost, like God knows, 6-7 years ago. That cost me 7 million naira. Just one machine, and all it does is this buttonhole. That's all it does. Just this particular buttonhole.
Yeah.
It's called an eyelet buttonhole. That's all it does. That's all it does. Period. Nothing else.
Wow.
And if it goes bad, I have to go back to the company to service it, and there's always a problem because there's no one that knows about it here, so they have to call to buy and do a video call while they're fixing something. How can I equip myself with 10 or 12 of those machines that I need to do something perfect? And when I don't have the backup to do it, then I don't have the expertise because there's no one that can run the machine. My tailors can't run the machine.
Yeah.
You train them, and that guy leaves you, then someone else comes, and how do you train? So the gap is huge.
You know, everything you're saying right now is it's already speaking to my next question, because I was going to say, there's very few, there's a crop of people, like literally a handful of fashion designers in Nigeria that you can say when it comes to their finishing, when it comes to their work, it's really good and it's out there, it's global, they're delivering on that level. But the thing is, a lot of fashion designers cannot do this, not because they don't want to, but they're forced to work with what's available. So work with Nigerian tailors, for instance, work with the machines that are here. I bought a skirt from a brand, and it's a big brand. It's a brand that has been on runways. And it was one of these skirts that comes with all of these, you know, feathery things. And I asked, oh, this is beautiful, but for this price, I really hope that this thing stays. Like, how do I launder it? Tell me how to look after this skirt, because I really, really like this skirt. I
don't like the end of the story.
That skirt, first of all, it was black. Now it's blue.
Oh,
that's the first problem. It's gone. It's destroyed.
All the feathers are gone.
And the thing is, these are clothes that if I bought that in another, like say outside of the I could have it for 5 years and it's good to go. Yeah. And it boils down to what you're saying. It's not like this designer doesn't have the intent to produce quality, but we can. So what do we do? Because how many people have 10 million naira sitting somewhere to say, you know what, I'm going to buy this machine and do this and do that? Do we, like you said, do we even have the expertise? So this is not even one of those cases you'd say government funding now. What is the solution to this?
It is kind of them.
How? What can they possibly do?
But no, that's like every industry is regulated to a large extent.
Yes.
Now, if fashion is a multi-billion-dollar industry, you should look into it and start trying to facilitate things at some point. The fashion shows are great, but they don't actually fix the problem.
They don't. And we do a lot of fashion shows, don't we?
We do. And the fashion show is the smallest part of it because I see it and I want to purchase it. It's not on your website.
Yeah. I actually had that conversation
I was a designer that I used to design, and I buy the last fabric in the market and I make the collection and someone wants it and the fabric is finished. You know, so there are things you need to learn. So at the end of the day is, what can you do for me to make me more lucrative as a business? Unfortunately, some designers have to actually do it themselves. Then people look at you and go like, hey. But the technical colleges are all gone. That's where you get proper tailors and proper machinists, but they're all gone. So the technical expertise doesn't exist. Your mills, your fabric manufacturing mills, they're all gone.
Where did they go?
They're using old machines to try. I mean, when Obasanjo said don't import fabrics anymore, the old factories tried to get live, but they had old machines, and when they tried to produce, they all started, you know, like up. Exactly. Technology is moved. Yeah. Now you can't self-fund fashion; it's expensive. So it has to be a joint venture between someone and someone. And if I'm going to joint venture, I mean, I don't have the money, but what's going to be my benefits? How much money would I make? By the time I look at the investment into this thing, I'm actually just going to oil and gas. With the same investment, and my turnover would be more. I'm going to food, and my turnover will be 1,000,000 times more. I mean, so at the end of the day, I'm thinking, I have to take a bold move, a bold step with a lot of money, and the return, I'm better off selling pure water. I'll sell pure water. It's less stress. So it's someone that has interest, passion, love, and everything, that would people saying, oh, do you have investors? I have no investors. Why don't you want investors? I don't want people's money. I want people's partnership. I want someone to tell me that, you know what, I have a factory in Sri Lanka, or I have a factory in Bangladesh, okay, we will produce this volume with you if you can sell that volume, and we can set up a hub in this. For me to set up a hub here, I have to have a conversation with the government, because if I'm doing that, I can't be paying taxes like every other guy, because I'm not going to make any money. But you're going to take taxes from me.
From you, either way.
Anyways. Do you get what I mean? So why would I invest so much into something that I probably won't benefit from in the next 10, 20 years? To whose benefit? Except I'm Jesus Christ. Do you get what I mean?
It has to be something done out of love, something done out of pure passion.
So if someone says, I want to create an agenda for fashion in Nigeria, because it can actually contribute to the... I think one of our biggest problems in this country is that we have crude oil. If we didn't have that stuff, people would pay attention to the smaller things. We could produce garments for the whole of the continent and export to every other place. Because we are the hub for that. We have the manpower, we have the expertise to produce garments for the whole of Africa and even overseas. Why not? Zara is producing garments in Rwanda, somewhere producing in Morocco. You see it made in Egypt. And they're coming here to do it. And why they're doing it, sometimes Egyptian cotton is one of the best. So why do I get the cotton and export it and pay tax? No, let me do and produce it and get the finished thing from here, where it is now cheaper, in essence, to sell and distribute around the world. So it's almost like you need to have something. It's going to be a labor of love. It's not labor for money. And the only person that can have love for the country to progress is the government. So that's why I'm circling right back to this conversation. Because I was going
to say, to request that of the average fashion designer would be very unfair. It's like, because they have a business to run, they have bills to pay. Yes, they want to make these outfits look beautiful, but at the same time, they need to get the buck for it immediately as it's coming.
Literally, it's in, and I tell you, this is so funny. It's like, I charge you a certain amount of money for a garment today. Because I tell people, pay me 100% now. They go, no, I can't pay 100%. I'll pay about. If I charge you a certain amount of money today when the dollar was 900, and you paid me 70%, and I finished it in 2 months when the dollar is 1,010. When you pay my balance, I've lost money.
You've lost money.
I've lost money. Because everything I use for your garment the dollar has an effect on it. And even in the local market, all your vendors increase prices every day. They just send you a mail, and Oga, now 10,000, now it's now 13,000. And there's nothing you can do.
When I hear these things, I'm just like, this explains exactly why we do fashion the way we do fashion. Because I've always said to myself, why can't we have, like, I love clothes. I love, but clothes are expensive. They are expensive. You can't just be buying and buying.
If you do it the way we do it, it's more expensive than when you do it the factory way.
Exactly.
So people say, why is a TM Louis shirt cheaper than your shirt? I said, because I spend more money making my...
No, it's insane. But I really love that you've brought in the role the government has to play in this. And I really hope it's something that...
Oh, a very wealthy individual that loves fashion.
Actually,
hello, just in case. Hello.
I was going to get there.
I'll be your advisor.
No, because clearly there is a huge loophole. There's a huge gap that needs to be filled up.
Yeah.
And it's something that if we do it right, not only would this person benefit, but for other fashion designers who are scared to even delve into the field because you can't find the right people in it. You struggle to find the right people to make the right clothes, but you just can't. So all of us are stuck wearing the same thing. Bad finishes, you travel, you get your suits, you get, those type of things, because you just can't get it right here.
Yeah.
So
it's a difficult one.
It's an insane one. I think this is one of the conversations that I would say, I've had music, I've had Nollywood, but fashion, I haven't found the solution. For some reason, music, fashion...
The other guys are... You know what the other guys are okay?
Solution.
You know what the guys are okay?
Why?
They have international interference.
That's probably why. Because
I can do a movie right now and distribute it around the world with no platform that a Nigerian has a hand in. Music, the same thing. I can distribute my music from my bedroom globally with something that Nigerians do not have a control over. But fashion is actually goods. It's not just service. It's not digital.
Yeah.
So when you make it, you still have to move it. You have to advertise. You still have to push it. So it's like the other guys have ready-made platforms for whatever
to help them do what they do.
They have Netflix. There's Arise
Apple
Play.
Music.
There's that. There's all that platform that. What's the platform for a designer that's got close to sell?
Maybe we're going to get there.
People will say, oh, there's Amazon,
early.
there's this. But honestly, just to ship from Nigeria, out of Nigeria, that's another show.
If you're saying
that's another show.
I can't even imagine Now I would say this, Mai, thank you so much for coming, because I used to really take it really tough with my, designers.
Please,
but now I think I have to be a lot more grateful, because based on what you've just said.
And they're all doing it for love.
Yes,
not necessarily because how much money are they making?
Oh,
it's so really sorry. More love.
So if I ever yelled, I'm so sorry. Mike, thank you so much for joining me on Arise 360. I feel like everyone watching the show should send a message to that person who makes your outfit, say you're the real G.